Welcome back to the Fight Cave Arcade. One of the things that I enjoy is watching top 10 list or list of their top and favorite arcade one-up cabinets. So I decided to join in the fray, and I'll explain how it's going to go when we get back. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. So what I wanted to do is create a list of the best arcade one-up cabinets in my collection. Um, and I wanted to be a little bit scientific about it. So what I did is I created a rubric, and I'm going to go ahead and share that with you to kind of explain how we got to the number one cabinet. Every cabinet will be judged on four categories: nostalgia, presence, replay value, and the depth of games on each cabinet. For nostalgia, I'm going to consider what are my emotional ties to the cabinet. How much did I play it? How much did I enjoy it? And it's a real personal part. It's probably the only super duper personal part that might be quite different from everybody else. The second part of nostalgia that I will consider is its impact on popular culture. There are certain arcade games, Pac-Man, Street Fighter 2, that were very, very popular, that transcended the arcade room. And number three, the impact on arcades. It could be technology. It could be just creating a whole new genre of arcade gaming. I will consider all these factors when judging the nostalgia of a cabinet. The next category I want to discuss is presence. And it could be many, many factors involved with this, right? It could be the form factor of the cabinet. It can be the artwork regarding the side panels, the marquee, the bezel, the control deck, and even the riser, because that's included into the arcade one-up bundle sometimes. So I will take in consideration all this for this category. All right, moving on to replayability. What this is overtime fun. Like, how long have you been playing it? Are you still having fun? And this will also include, multiplayer. I think if a game can be played simultaneously by two players, that adds to the fun. And also, I know it's only available now for only one cabinet, but the live feature is really, really game changing. And we're going to see that in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and include that uh, in this category for right now. The last category is going to be depth of games. How many games are on a cabinet? Are there different genres? And do the games come from different eras? These are all things that I think make for a great cabinet. So the more the better. It is important to note that I'm not going to be judging any of these Arcade One cabinets with any aftermarket modifications. I will be only judging them based on how I bought them from the retailer. Also, if there is a tie, the tiebreaker is going to be nostalgia. So whatever cabinet gets higher in nostalgia will win the tiebreaker. Let's begin. Coming in at number 6 is Galaga. Okay, and that tells you that this is a pretty good collection of arcade one-ups I have if Galaga is coming in dead last. Now, the strength of this machine is going to be its nostalgia, right? When I think of my childhood, early childhood in the arcades, um, it's Pac-Man, it's Galaga, Centipede, and Star Wars were really the biggest games in that era. So it's one of my favorites. Its presence is pretty good. The fact that it comes so low, right? And let me explain the scoring a little bit, right? If you come in first, you're going to score 6 points. If you come in last, you're going to score 1 point. If you come in second, you're going to score 5. So every arcade machine is going to get a score based on how it's ranked. No, there's no way you get a tie within those rankings. So its presence is pretty good. It's a really nice marquee. Maybe it would have scored a little bit higher if it came with a light up marquee. In terms of replay value, it is pretty fun to play, um, but it's just not played as much as my other cabinets. And when it comes to depth of games, it's pretty poor. There's only 2 games on there, and they're both pretty similar. Coming in at number 5 is the Marvel 80th Anniversary exclusive that was available only directly from Arcade 1-Up. It is now sold out, and the only way you get it is through the secondary market. It really scores very, very high in depth of games and presence. The depth of games is only because Punisher is a very good beat 'em up, and all 3 games are pretty good. But to have 2 fighting games and 1 beat 'em up in this collection makes it stand out. It ranks high in presence as well, and it comes from the amazing art that's on the side panels, the control deck, the riser, bezel, and the marquee. It's one of the best looking cabinets out there all the way around. I'm a huge Marvel fan, and this was actually the cabinet that made me start collecting Arcade 1-Ups. Now, it ranks very low in nostalgia, and that is primarily because I never played these games in the arcade. I think this is about the time where I started going from young teenager to older teenager. But overall, it's a really great cabinet. I would not imagine that I'd be getting rid of it anytime soon. It was worth every penny. It came out to close to $500. Comes with sandwall buttons and joysticks. It's an excellent arcade, and the fact that it's at number 5 is actually pretty surprising. Coming in at number 4 is the Final Fight cabinet. Now, the strength of this cabinet is the depth of games. I don't think it's even close in regards to my collection. It has a beat 'em up in Final Fight, a shooter in 1944, and 2 platformers in Ghosts and Goblins and Strider. Um, Ghosts and Goblins is from the mid 80s. Final Fight and Strider are from, I believe, late 80s, early 90s. And then you have 1944, which is from 1999. So a very interesting group of different genres, different time periods in arcade gaming. But I really enjoyed it. I got this cab for $50, and I was surprised on how much I like it. Elsewhere, where it scores really high is replay value. 1944 is a lot of fun to play in. Ghosts and Goblins gets played a lot. But it ranks pretty low in presence, and that really has to do with the fact that it didn't come with a light up marquee, and it's just not as iconic as some of the other cabinets, in my opinion, in the collection. Also, nostalgia. The only game I really played in the arcade is Ghosts and Goblins. Final Fight was more of a Super Nintendo in regards to playing it. All right, coming in at number 3 is Pac-Man. It scores very high. As a matter of fact, it scores uh, in the top 2 in nostalgia and replay. Nostalgia because obviously this is the king of early 80s arcade games. Iconic. It it leaked into pop culture. You heard songs, you saw T-shirts. It was everywhere, and I pumped so many quarters into this. We all did. Um, the very look of it is classic. It's just one of the games of all, one of the greatest games of all time. In regards to replay value, um, only really Pac-Man gets played um, by the family, but it is the second most played arcade cabinet, and it's a lot of fun. It's easy to pick up, and it's not intimidating, so a lot of people just jump on it and give it a try. It also ranks in the top 3 in depth of games. Now, this is the HSN QVC exclusive that came with 4. So it's really due to the number of games compared to the other games in the collection. It's not really a great depth of games, but it still is 4 games. Moving on to presence of this cabinet, it has the iconic side art panels that can't be mistaken for anything else. It has a nice bezel. Control deck is classic also, but then you have that white marquee that really sticks out, and because this is the HSN QVC exclusive, it is a light up marquee, and it just looks really great when it's lit up at night. It's really, it takes me back to when I was a little kid, and that's really what this is all about. Coming in at number 2 is NBA Jam. And this is interesting because this was an impulse buy. This was a cabinet that I was not going to get. But when I saw it at Costco and I saw the topper, I saw the light up buttons, um, I just, I had a moment of weakness and I bought it. But it ranks in the top 3 in nostalgia, presence, and replay in regards to the entire collection. It also ranks first in replay, and a lot of that has to do with the live function, okay? The ability to play anybody with a cabinet that's connected to Wi-Fi is amazing. It's also a sports games. Sports games are always fun to play with whenever you have friends around or family. The other strengths of it is presence. Because it's a tournament edition, um, the extra topper just makes it stick out. The fact that it's a 4-player cabinet makes it stick out. Um, it's just amazing in regards to presence. And now the nostalgia. This is probably the game in my early teens, right? Right before I would move on to other interests, right? As an older teenager, as a young teenager, the NBA was huge. Everybody wanted to be like Mike, and really, it was when the NBA was on fire. So this is a great cabinet. I'm really glad now that I purchased it. And once I put the thing together and started playing it, I knew that I made a great choice. Now this cabinet comes in second to last in regards to depth of games. Part of that is that it has 3 games and they're all pretty similar. Are they upgraded versions of NBA Jam? Yeah, but essentially it's the same game 3 times. So that's why it gets the low score. Only Galaga with 2 games that's basically the same game is lower. Coming in at number 1 is Star Wars. If you notice the total score, it is exactly the same score as NBA Jam. What puts Star Wars in the number 1 spot is nostalgia. That is the tiebreaker. So let's go ahead and start there. Star Wars was very advanced for its time, okay? But what really made it really stick out is that one of the highest, hottest intellectual properties of all time, and you talk about the early 80s when it was absolutely the hottest, perhaps, um, you were able to bring the universe of Star Wars into an arcade. And that was amazing. You heard the voices of the actors that were digitized. You were able to blow up the Death Star, man. I mean, phew, that was mind blowing when we were a kid. There was nothing like that ever, ever. So it's just an amazing game. It's my fondest memories of playing this at the Salinas Chuck E. Cheese. It really is my childhood wrapped up in a cabinet. Now, moving on to Presents, where it also ranked first. Look at the side panel, man. You have Darth Vader, you have TIE Fighters, you have X-Wings, and it's an amazing, amazing Presents with a custom factor form. There's only 2 other cabinets that have custom factor forms. That's the Pac-Man 40 and the Burger Time. It's a really a great looking cabinet. Okay, now it comes in third in depth of games. It's only because in my collection, there's not really too many great cabinets that have great depth. I mean, NBA Jam, uh, Pac-Man, and Galaga fall behind this one. Now, surprisingly, this cabinet isn't played that much. As a matter of fact, it is dead last. I can't explain it. We do turn it on from time to time, but we just don't play it. But if you told me you have to get rid of all your arcade 1-ups but one, this would be the one that I would keep because this is my favorite. I don't know why. Doesn't make sense. You would think I would keep, for instance, Final Fight. I play that one all the time. I've been playing NBA Jam nonstop. So there's my list. If you agree, you disagree, um, let me know. There's a reason why I make these videos is because I like to reach out to fellow fans and get feedback and kind of grow a community. And yeah, so make sure you follow me on Instagram. I follow back. And thanks for watching as always, and see you next time.